Hello, I'm Sarah Cruz with Embrace Ayurveda, and today I have my dear friend, sister, and Ayurveda colleague, Darci Frankel, here with us. Darci is an Ayurvedic practitioner and owner of the amazing Hanalei Day Spa on the island of Kauai. And we have worked together, known each other for many years, and Darci has so much wisdom to share with us today. Welcome, Darci.
Thank you, Sarah G. Thank you for having me. What a pleasure to chat with you and share
Well,
what
I
we have
feel
to share.
like so many of our conversations when we're chatting, I wish we were recording them. So
Me
I feel
too.
like it's time to capture some of the gems and to share it with others. So I'm really happy we're having this time together today.
Me too. I've had the same exact thought.
So you and I have the same Ayurveda guru teacher in common, Dr. Vasant Lad, and I just want to acknowledge him and give thanks for our teachers and for the lineage of Ayurveda. And whatever we share today may it be in service to the highest good of all.
Mm. Thank you, Sarah G.
Yes, so we are meeting on this very auspicious day, Akshaya Tritiya, which is considered the most auspicious day of the year according to Jyotish, Vedic astrology, for many reasons. Do you want to say anything about it?
Oh, yes. I love this little holiday. Um, in particular, because my husband and I got married on this day. And the interesting thing is that the Vedic calendar doesn't go by days. So I say this day, we got married May 11th, but it's the lunar and the solar positions. So the sun is exalted in Aries and the moon is exalted in Taurus. Um, right. Yeah. And so there's maybe 72-hour period where that's overlapped, where they're both in the same, exalted. And so in the Vedic tradition, it's a day to invest in something, to initiate something, to start something. They say it is the most auspicious day of the year. So people invest in gold classically, or they'll do a muhurta, they'll ask a question. What's the most auspicious day to get married or to begin my business? And the Jyotishi will say, this day. And 11 years ago, it was my husband and I wedding anniversary. But so if you're hearing this, look for it next year and plan. And if you might see this today on the 10th or the 11th, have a little bit of a window on the 11th, at the very least, say your intentions, your sacred sankalpa. Sarah and I began our little chat today, planting seeds and empowering each other's intentions or sacred intentions, also known as sankalpa in the Vedic tradition.
Yes, thank you for that. Happy anniversary, Darcy.
Thank you.
And we are just a couple days out from Mother's Day. And when you and I first jumped on the call, we were talking about mothers and our Earth Mother. And you shared how you've been really contemplating this topic about how what we do to ourselves, we do to the earth. And I would love to hear more about mothering, mothering ourselves, taking care of the earth, this idea of mother at this time.
Thank you, Sarah. I was sharing with you, I did this little stream of consciousness yesterday while I was at work, and in honor of mother, the mother principle, mother figures. Uh, and so we all have this, whether some type of maternal instinct, whether we're male or female. We've all had people who've raised us, whether it's our mother or both of our parents, our, grandparents, many, aunties, the stepmother, the, extended family, which we here in Hawaii call aunties, or uncles. So, but, you know, Mother's Day in particular brings up a lot for me in that my relationship with the mother in Sanskrit, the Mother Earth, we say Mother Earth, but in Sanskrit, Mother Earth is Bhumi Devi. I'm gonna close my window right here. There's a little sound.
I love all these different names for Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi, or in South America, Pachamama. These
Oh, right.
really like sweet names of Mother Earth.
Oh, yes. And so Bhumi is earth, Devi means the goddess. And so, you know, we, so it literally, it's like, Devi, goddess, Mother Earth, however we say it. Um, I love how they speak of Bhumi Devi with so much love, and when we think about it, we come from the earth. She holds us up, gravity. She's given birth to us. We are made of the five elements, as we know, but we're made from the earth, including other elements. And one day, we'll go back to her in some form or another, whether we're cremated or we are put in a casket, or in India, you know, um, they burn bodies of their dearly departed, and that smoke goes into the atmosphere. And I know we don't talk a lot about death in our Western culture, but I think it's really important to name that, and how these cycles are really important. Uh, so, you know, um, and that was my first thought about being connected to Mother Earth, our mother, and our ancestors as well, and how we are so connected, even though we might not realize it. Um, the next point that I made, and I'm just checking my notes to make sure that I got everything. The next point that I had here is what we do to her, we do to ourselves and those around us. And the opposite is true. What we do to ourselves, affects the earth. Just like, the body our body is a closed system, but it's all connected, and we are all connected on an energetic level if we have eyes to see that, and then I start thinking about in massage, you and I are both longtime massage therapists, and how our body's not what it's not like a piece of paper. It's not like a front and a back. For instance, when our lower back is tight, the lower abdomen, which is the front of the lower back, is affected. And sometimes when we work on that area, like the psoas, which is the front of the back, we can loosen that area. Or if we're slouching, it means the muscles in front are shortened and the muscles in back are elongated, and so forth. Point being, it's all connected. And so if we talk about what we put into our body, if we poison our own body, for instance, if we use pesticides or spray pesticides on our lawn, then we walk on it or breathe that in, it penetrates into our body. It's all connected. When we release emissions or chemicals into the air, for instance, when we're using these different types of like fabric softeners or chemical laundry detergents, um, that goes into the earth, because it has to go somewhere, right? Into the atmosphere, comes down in the form of rain. We inevitably consume those emissions at some point in time by breathing on our skin from rain, or something, showering, drinking water, um, thus really affecting the delicate endocrine system and all the other systems. I have this, I took this little snapshot the other day of, we were talking about a quote that talked about exactly about this same thing. Maybe it wasn't on this phone. I'm not sure where it was, but it was research talking about maybe it was this phone. It was research talking about how these forever chemicals that we are using more and more on an increased level since, our parents and their parents affect our endocrine system and our bodies. And so if they're forever in on the planet, in the earth, in the soil, they're not going to go away. That means they will be deposited into our body. And so this article went on to say how they're predicting, oh, I feel a little sad about this. They're predicting the fertility rates to continue to plummet drastically because of that by the year, did they say even 2045? I took a screenshot of this. I'm not sure where it is, but I'm paraphrasing. You get the idea. So we don't know because we're not getting an immediate effect. And but this is, like when we stub our toe. Oh, you feel that. But when we like use these forever chemicals, which are in cleaning body products, even foods that we eat, things in and around our homes, they're in our cars. We are contributing to that. I know. How do you get a car without, these chemicals or whatever? I don't know, but there are ways that we can make choices, that can positively affect our bodies and the environment. Really taking a deeper look at cleaning up our homes, our kitchens, even there's certain toilet cleaners. We flush that down the toilet. In my little article, I started to talk about, you may say, wait, I flushed something toxic down the toilet, but then it goes to the water treatment plant, right? Well, that's true. And then they treat it with other chemicals. But did you know that most people who live in municipal cities, those treatment plants and high concentrations of people, most people in these large cities have high concentrations of the three main drugs, the three most common drugs in their bodies. And those are, you probably know, or might be on some of them, antidepressants, pain meds, and hormone replacements. I haven't even taken a breath.
It's a big topic. It's vast and it's really relevant. And I think it's important that we're talking about this. We're thinking about it, we're talking about it, engaging more people in this discussion so that we can start to have a sense of, what we can do to contribute, taking action ourselves, which I'm sure we'll get there in a minute. But I love where you're going with all this, Darci, like just what's around us and what we do to Mother Earth, we do to ourselves.
Yeah, it's all connected, and we are all connected, even though we don't see that. There's research that shows if I'm triggered, I don't even have to say anything, but people around me will feel that.
Hmm. Yeah.
In the same way, when, us as healers, one of the practices we do is keep ourselves clear so that we can then be with people and have a positive effect, even if we're not saying, I love you or I appreciate you for, we raise our own vibration by doing our own inner work, doing our own inner mental, emotional, spiritual alignment and cleansing. So it's not just on this physical level. We were talking earlier about on all of the levels, the body, the mind, because the mind is part of our earth body, and so is our emotions. Our emotions, it's all connected. So just to kind of close that loop, the last thing that I mentioned was that most people in municipal areas have these drugs in their systems. You may be someone who's listening may be saying, what? Especially a man, well, I'm not taking hormones. Well, people flush that down the toilet. People, how they're not just flushing bottles of pills. Well, sometimes people do, but also it comes out in our urine. And then there are trace amounts of that in the water that we drink, shower, and bathe in. We absorb 100 more times than we could ever drink through our skin in the shower. So it's my sales pitch for going out and getting a shower filter at the
Hmm.
and a water filter.
I know this topic of toxicology or the toxins in our environment can start to feel so daunting and overwhelming. And I think, just honing in on what we can do, like getting a shower filter or in some places an air filter or a filter in the car can make a huge difference in, creating that barrier of things entering our bodies or just protecting our bodies on a daily basis. So, yeah, I love that there are some things we can do. And we can't do it for everybody, but we can do it for ourselves and we can hopefully be an example or others might notice, oh, I saw this big clunky thing in your shower. Tell me more about that. Or,
Right? I
yeah.
saw all these clunky things like you use laundry detergent, Darcy.
What are all these gadgets?
What are all these? What's this gadget? There's a gadget above my washing machine, and it's an ozone generator. I don't know if I
Mm,
told you, I don't
mhm.
use laundry detergent anymore. Very rarely.
Yeah.
I wash my clothes in ozone water.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ozone's really great for that. So you said something, we could have these gadgets. So, right, we either buy a filter or be the filter our own selves,
Be the filter.
or buy a filter. So if I buy a water filter, I won't be processing those toxins into
Mhm.
through my body, right?
Right.
So those are a couple quick and easy things that we can do is, filter the water.
Yes. Yeah. And choose what kind of water we're getting or filter it. Yeah.
Yeah. The same goes with our manas, our mind.
Hmm.
Filter our thoughts. Don't
Yeah.
let that, don't let those, don't perpetuate, when I could have a negative thought, but I could also feed it and spin out on it and just, make it this huge story and
Yes. Catch ourselves before it goes too far. Also, just being aware of what we let into our consciousness, right? Our senses are so inundated, our mind is so inundated from many directions, but discerning what we let in. Mm.
It's true. Yeah, I wrote a piece once about guarding our senses, fiercely guarding our senses. And it's
Yeah.
the, it's another, it's just another angle at talking about the same exact things that we're talking about here, guarding our senses wisely.
I feel like the Vedic traditions of yoga and Ayurveda give us so much information, so many tools to guard our senses and cleanse our bodies and rejuvenate our bodies. And I know that you are kind of a detox cleansing queen, diva yourself. You have done the deep dive into all areas, cleansing and rejuvenation. And you even have some programs available that people can participate in to go on a cleanse. But for the sake of today, I would just love to hear some of your top ways that you cleanse yourself or your home environment daily. Like you mentioned, the laundry ozone or the shower filter. Like those are some really huge ones to look into.
They
I'm
are.
curious what else you do on a daily basis to prevent toxins from accumulating or to detox.
Yes, and thank you for the acknowledgement from one cleansing queen to another. Um, so my philosophy is it's several manifold. It's prevent toxins from getting into the body in the first place. How do we do that? We learn about the different categories of toxins. So that I feel like each of these pillars are equally important. So learning about the different types of toxins so we can prevent them from getting into our body, then learn, where they're at so we can cleanse those toxins. So prevent, cleanse, track our progress as we go along. And then, so that we can prevent these toxins from getting in our bodies in the first place, because it's way more efficient that way. It's easier to prevent something from getting in than it is to do a deep cleanse on sometimes. So what are the things?
Just one
We have
moment, Darcy. Sorry to interrupt you, but when you say track our progress, does that mean the occasional blood test, stool test, hair test, this kind of tracking?
yes,
Okay.
yes. There's lots of ways that we can track our progress, even from noticing how we feel, tracking our sleep. A couple years ago, I got this little aura ring, and I've been really refining my sleep and getting more, trying to protect the good sleep I have. And telling Paws to hush in the middle of the night, my cat. you know, Things like that. So there's ways that we can track certain types of toxins. And I don't I is- I go really deep into this. As you mentioned, I have a program called the Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge. And in that program, I help people go through their whole lives, from their body, their home, their cars, our environment, mental, emotional cleansing. We do a cleanse each week. I walk you through, you get like a little email each day, and I help people to do these powerful, deep cleanses, from mental, emotional cleansing, cleansing our lymphatic system, metals cleanse, things like that. And with these, there are barometers to track our progress, because it's really important to know how we're doing. You don't just perpetually take a supplement and like, oh, I'm doing great, and have no feedback, because sometimes we don't know. Like, a lot of times, remember I said these chemicals, these forever chemicals, it's when Rel Sun played in the DDT, for instance, as a child. She was a great surf legend on Oahu. She didn't know that she was exposing herself to life-threatening cancer that she will battle some decades later. These toxins go into our body, and then we add to them inadvertently, and later it could show up as something like this. I don't mean to scare anybody. Please don't be afraid. There are ways to get these toxins out of our body and to reverse this process. And Ayurvedic medicine shows us how. This was my mother, my mother healing system, Ayurveda. And everything, in my cleansing program is derived and connects to back to an Ayurvedic lifestyle. And but you don't necessarily have to eat Indian food. And just like, what you do with your programs and in Panchakarma, we cleanse the body, we cleanse the dhatus, the seven tissues. This is similar. But I want to circle back. So, that just superficially, what the listener can do is get a great water filter. We have Pristine Hydro is our filter. Now, I even got the travel one for when I go away, because I like to have good water. Um, get a good, water shower drinking filter. Don't let that stuff come in the first place. If you can't pronounce it, Lord knows it probably does not belong in your body. Um, Check what you're clean. So why do I talk about laundry detergent? I'm not picking on anybody. Sorry, not sorry. But the truth is, look, my clothes are touching my skin. In Ayurvedic medicine, one of the main fundamental tenets is that we eat what we put on our skin. So what do? We use medicinal oils, because our whole skin can absorb 100 times more than we can just by taking an herb, a little capsule once a day. Do you know? So it is amazing. It's the same, the same theory that like a nicotine patch, it delivers nicotine to your skin. We eat through our skin, right? So we want if you've used the what do you call it, commercial fabric softeners, it has chemicals that make the synthetic fragrances stick to the clothes. Do you ever try to get that smell out? That chemical, the smell is the particle is the thing. It's these forever chemicals that pollute the earth body and our body. So clean up your laundry detergent, clean up everything that touches your skin. Because if we're not wearing clothes, we're laying down on our sheets and, 24 hours a day, we have things touching our skin. So think about that. Food for thought. And while we're talking about food, take a look at what you're consuming as you eat it. So those are just a few little nuggets that the person hearing this you can take action. So I don't mean to scare anybody or, do any kind of fear thing, but I do want to inspire you. And if you feel inspired, you can get in touch with me and check out one of my programs. I'll have a little um, link. I'll also provide my 7-day program, which is the first week of my 30-day serious cleanse challenge. I'll give that as a gift to your listeners for free. It has a sugar and a gluten cleanse in it. And it's literally the first week of my program. It's good foundational program to help eliminate these toxins from our bodies.
Thank you so much for that, Darci. I feel like the 7-day program is a really great option for those listening. The 30-day program might feel like a lot to commit to, while it's very beneficial to start out with the 7-day. If you're rolling with that, getting good results, then continue with the 30-day program. Yeah.
And if not, you've gotten some great tidbits here. And, Sarah Cruz is an amazing, amazing resource. If you haven't had an Ayurveda consultation with her, she is brilliant. I see her.
Oh, thank you, Darci.
I do.
Thank you. Well, I love the topic of cleansing within the context of Ayurveda as well. And there's so many things we could share in this area itself. I was just thinking of one more that I've been thinking, quite a lot about, and that is one of the main ways we can detoxify is actually through our lungs and our breath. A lot of our toxins leave through our exhalation. So
Yes, yes.
brisk walking is something we can do every day that's free as a way to release impurities from our body. And sometimes the most obvious ones, are the most beneficial.
So true. Yeah. We
Yeah.
also eliminate fat through our exhalation.
Isn't that something?
I learned that a couple years ago. I was like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh, that totally makes sense.
it's true. Yeah, well, we will have to have another conversation to build upon this because I think as we go forward in time, we're going to continue to learn more about, what's really happening in our environment, the impact. You mentioned fertility. We want to be able to support the families who want to have children and live long, healthy lives through eating good food, drinking clean water, having clean air, and access to all the resources that they want. So yeah, we have our work cut out for us, but I think we're up for it. And yeah,
We
it's
do,
a
and we do, and I wanted to say, the thing about fertility, as we know, we have seven dhatus, and the reproductive system is the deepest. Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Maja, Shukra, and Artava. And so Shukra and Artava, the reproductive system, is the deepest tissue, dhatu in our body. And so if toxins are there, they've pervaded through every level of the body. And so uh, it might take a little bit longer to eliminate them, but it's not a daunting process at all. And it's like pain in the body. If we feel pain somewhere, that's one of the last symptoms. There's stagnation, there's buildup. So these are things that we need to, pay attention to ourselves more. So I wanted to circle this back to Mother's Day. You know,
Oh.
your Yeah, your mother wants you to take good care of yourself. Your
Mhm.
mama loves you. Your mama loves you so much, and you love your mother. So what can we do to malama is the word and we're jumping cultures here. Malama is the word, the Hawaiian word for take care. What can
Mhm.
we do to malama aina, malama the land, malama our bodies?
Mhm. Oh.
we we know that our mama wants us to, and we are our parents. So
Mhm.
when we take care of ourselves, we help our ancestors and our descendants. So I just really want to encourage you. What are several ways that you can take care of yourself? You know what you need. And if not, consult one of the experts. We're happy to help you.
I was about to ask you to leave us with some words of wisdom, but I think that was it, Darcy. The two, Malama, the land, Malama ourselves as a way of honoring our ancestors, in a different context, not just for ourselves, but for our ancestral lineage. That's really powerful. Yeah. Well, we've been talking about cleansing, and you have your 7-day cleanse, your 30-day serious cleanse. I'll include links for those. But for everybody listening, if you're on the island of Kauai, Darcy is the owner of the Hanalei Day Spa up in Haena, just outside of Hanalei. And they offer amazing rejuvenative therapies, some Ayurvedic therapies, lomi lomi, couples massage by the beach, and others. So give yourself a treat, nourish, rejuvenate, cleanse in that way when you're on the North Shore of Kauai. And I'll
Mm.
include how you can get in touch with Darcy as well.
Thank you, Sarah G. Thank you for having me, sweetie.
Yeah, thanks so much, Darcy. Have a beautiful Mother's Day weekend.
You too. We're coming up on your birthday.